It's time for GarageBand Weekly. Y'all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live today for another week. Can you believe another week has flown on by and we're back here talking about all things GarageBand on your iPad, your iPhone, your Mac, your iPod Touch. Hey, some of us are rocking iPod Touches. Don't judge, man. They're cool. Thanks for being here. We are going to do some more of your questions today, so it's going to be another Q&A show here on the show today. So if you have questions, all you got to do is put the word question in front of them, just like that. A big fatty old Q or the word question in capital letters, something like that. Something to tell us that you are asking a question. Otherwise, you can just chat and banter and do what you do. It's all good. But if you've got a question, put that there. And we are brought to you today, as we are each and every week, by my GarageBand FAQ. Yeah, if you jump over to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, it's my FAQ. You can buy yourself the $10 beginner's guide to GarageBand, which is 5 hours of curated content. They're going to help you out getting started. We've got all the playlists there. I recommend this one. I say this every week, but the GarageBand iOS Essentials if you're new to GarageBand, and all of your FAQs there if you want to know about compression and EQ and how to use automation and all of that goodness here in GarageBand. Check out my GarageBand FAQ. G'day to the folks who are here live. We'll say hello and then we'll dive in and start talking about GarageBand. We've got some news and notes and then we're going to dive into some questions. The live questions that we've got here from you folks, as well as some pre-asked questions and a few things that are just on my mind. All right, let's say good day. We've got Mr. Thomas Christ here. Hello to Mark, Bro, Boom to Jade Star. We've got Princess LDG, who I believe is making some delicious pizza right about now. Joe and Barry Glenn. We've got Omni Collective Creativity. Hello, fellow humans. It is good to see you. I am now powered by AI because everything in 2022 is powered by AI. Hello to Barry Glenn. Hello to Rena. Hope you are doing well. We've got Hairbrush Microphone. Hello to you as well. And anyone whom I may have missed, I hope you are doing well. We've already got the questions starting to roll on in, so I'm going to start tagging those as we go. But let's dive into some news and notes for the week, shall we? Before I do that, I need to cough. We call that professionalism around here. At least I've turned my volume down. Sometimes I don't even reach the volume knob or the mute button. All right, let's talk about what's going on. And look, if you've been living under a rock, if you're an Apple fan person like me, I'm not really. I just use the stuff. I'm just a user, man. I'm not a dealer. I'm just a user. But if you are an Apple user like me, you'd be aware that there's some new Apple products that you can pre-order. Yeah, you can get yourself excited and you can pre-order yourself the new iPhone 14, the Pro Max, the 14 Plus. So we'll go through this really quickly because I did a 5-minute video. That's going to be linked down in the description. So I recommend just going and watching that. That tells you everything you know, all the guff without the fluff. All the stuff you need to know about the announcement. But we got new iPhone 14s. What did I put in my notes here? They better camera, can now connect with satellites, at least in the US and Canada, and later this year. So too bad. If you're out hiking and you get trapped, you can't use the emergency satellite thing yet. You got crash detection in there, which I guess is good. If you're in a big high-speed collision, it'll phone the police. Phone police. I'm in a smashed car and my screen protector's been damaged. And then it has a different notch. So you're probably seeing that right there, that they've got this new thing. What do they call it? It's called something weird, isn't it? It's called like the Garden of Delight. I've actually forgotten their weird. The Island of Freedom? I don't know. Someone will correct me in the chat. It's called some sort of island, but it's a little notch that kind of expands out. It's kind of cool. iOS 16 will expand out your little notch and, hey, it looks different. And let's be honest, that's the main thing with this. It's evolutionary, not revolutionary. It's a little tiny step up. If you're rocking a 12 or a 13, you don't need to race out and buy this. If you've got a 10 or an 8, yeah, maybe you have a look at this because it is definitely an improvement. I'll be checking it out later in the year when my 2-year contract runs out on my iPhone 12 because that's kind of what I do. Let's look at the other stuff we got here. So we have the new Apple Watch, including this mega chungus. Yeah, this is the new iPhone. This is the new Apple Watch Ultra for big people like me, like big watches and do big stunts on my dirt bike every weekend. You should see me. What I do is I ride my dirt bike off a big ramp, I do a backflip, and then I get my scuba diving gear on in mid-flight and plunge into the ocean. So this watch is going to be absolutely perfect for me. And the AirPods Pro, the second generation of the AirPods Pro. And full disclosure, I have ordered these. They are coming next week. So you can pre-order them now, and they ship on the 23rd of September. So by this time next week, by 2 shows' time, I'll be able to tell you if these are worthwhile. What do these have different? They've got a little volume knob on the thing, and they've got spatial audio that sort of triggers to the size of your weird melon. So they're the couple of things that you have there. So Apple announcement, new products, go your hardest if it's something that you want to do. And again, as Mars Capone says, notch free 2020 still going strong, but Apple Care runs out in 2 weeks. Ooh, yeah. And that's the thing. I actually like the old form factors. So I kind of dig the old ones. I like the chin. I like the chin and the forehead. I had no problem with this. I didn't need. I raged against the machine and didn't really want to go with the notch on my iPhone 12 here. The first time I bought the iPhone XS and then the iPhone 12. I was quite unhappy. Plus, they use a non-standard resolution on these things, which is hard for video creators like me. I'm not a huge fan of that, but we'll get there. The other thing that's a little bit controversial is in the US, at least, nowhere else in the world, but just the US, Apple have removed the SIM tray. So you'd know that if you use an iPhone, they've got a SIM card tray, that little slot where you have to get the little tool or a pin or a needle if you're like me and you've lost your tool, and then you poke the thing out and you swap over your SIM card. So when you get a new phone, you just go pop, clink, pop. Now you're going to have to use the eSIM, the electronic SIM card, which is a virtual SIM card. That means instead of just going pop, clunk. If you're swapping phones, like for me, I have a hand-me-down phone, so my daughter will eventually get this because she's got my 10S, and then I'll get the 14, and then my other daughter will get the 10S because she's currently rocking the 6S. That's the way it goes in our families. It's the hand-me-down things. And before, we'd just get all the phones out, pop, 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 SIM, 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 SIM. If you're in the US now, you can't do that. You have to do the convoluted digital thing, which I'm sure will work 100% reliably every time, and nothing could possibly go wrong. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. And while we're on the topic, can we please... Can I please beg of you, if you are watching this and you listen to one thing I say in this entire show, can you please do this for me? Can you please not update to iOS 16 and iPadOS 16 yet? I'm not anti-future, I'm not anti-change, but do not update. It is being released today. And what do we know about almost every 0.0 release of every iOS and every iPadOS ever is that something goes wrong. And if you are in the middle of Songtember, as I am, this happens every year, and I get at least 1 or 2 emails from folks saying, Johns, I was in the middle of my project in GarageBand and I updated to iOS 16 and then every file on my iCloud disappeared. I mean, maybe it's not that dramatic, but it's something like that. So can I please ask you, just hold back. There is nothing revolutionary in the iOS 16 update that you're going to need. It is all just nice to have changes. Like, yeah, okay, if you drunkenly text your ex at 2 a.m., you can undo it and bring it back, but short of that, there's really nothing in there. So please, yes, resist the wiles of shiny new features. I agree with that. Hello, Betty Lyles. Hello to you. I hope you are doing well. And I've got some questions coming in here, so I will throw a couple of those in the list here, and it's the dynamic island. There you go. I knew it was something. I knew it was something kind of wanky sounding. The dynamic island. I once lived on the dynamic island. So don't update. Other updates, other news for the week. We've got, of course, Songtember happening. I didn't put that in the rundown, but if you are part of Songtember, you'll already know about that. We're doing live shows. We're doing a bunch of shows. Tomorrow we've got a Patreon exclusive live show. So if you're a patron, check your email inbox. You'll get a link to that. That's already there waiting for you. So if you want to see what's up and what the latest is with the song, you heard at the very start there, you can do that. Something interesting I thought this week was that this bloke here, who you might know as Patrick from the GarageBand Guide, did a very cool video. The sound packs Apple won't make. So he was discussing the fact that every Apple sound pack seems to just be a collection. And what did he say? He had a really cool line, which was like, whatever the latest new obscure trap genre is, which is kind of what it is. Like, there's a whole bunch of these very samey 808s and synth sounds that kind of sound very much like the last pack, whether it's your Flex and Flow or your Backlight Bounce or your Skyline City or your, I don't even know, your New Order Fancy Wancy, I don't know, but all the packs are very similar. And what Patrick mentioned is that you can get packs, you can get sounds from elsewhere. And he mentioned Vortex over at Mobile Music Pro and some of the sounds packs that he and his collaborators have produced, which are all excellent and different genres. You got metal, you got rock, you got other things. So go check that video out. It's linked down in the description. And I would also suggest there's places like freesound.org. There's places like BandLab. They've got a bunch of free sounds. There's a heap of places where you can actually go and get free sounds, free loops, free one-shot samples. You don't have to be stuck with just what GarageBand and what Apple offer up, because unless you're making those specific types of genres, and if you're wondering, by the way, why do they hate us so much? No. I was having this discussion in Discord earlier. The thing is, these are businesses, so they're going to target, just like with the phones. The reason they removed the headphone jack, the reason they removed the SIM card is that the majority of people just get a phone and they have it for 5 years, and they don't care about Bluetooth. They actually prefer Bluetooth. They don't care about the loss of quality. They're not tracking vocals on their phone, so they don't need that headphone jack for latency-free audio. So what is hard and I guess difficult for us in this little subculture, this little nerdy community of music producers that use Macs and iPhones and iPads, is that we are far from the majority. Now, thankfully, I guess, Apple have the Pro line of stuff, which has more of those Pro features. And I'm very happy that my MacBook Pro that's sitting out there still has a headphone jack. I'm sad that my iPad Pro doesn't, but at least it has USB-C, which is far superior to Lightning in terms of hooking up things like HDMI connections and audio connections. So, yeah, just keep that in mind, that there are options out there for your music. So go check out that Patrick video. It is very cool, and he'll put you onto some good stuff. If you've never gone over to Mobile Music Pro and checked out, he's got some free packs there. There's some paid packs. It's all very cool. And finally, last but not least, I just wanted to talk really briefly on this, again, over on the Discord. Shout out to the folks hanging out on Discord. We're having a discussion today about compressed versus uncompressed audio, because a few folks, we had Hairbrush Microphone, Midnight Bandit, Princess LDG, were having a chat about the fact that YouTube, what you're probably watching this on right now, unless you're on Twitch or Facebook, and they're doing the same, are compressing the audio. And there's a lot of folks saying, why isn't everything uncompressed audio? Why don't we have 44.1 kilohertz, 24-bit, lossless, uncompressed sound on everything? And it all comes down to this. See, the finger thing means the money. It costs a lot of money to serve up. Like right now, you're not even probably thinking about this, but there are servers, there are computers in racks right now that are absorbing my face and my words and converting that. They're compressing the audio, they're compressing the video, and then they're pushing that out to currently 20 plus people live, and then they'll have to capture all of that and then serve it out to probably the 300 or 400 people that will watch this show on the replay. So that all creates a lot of processing. And the reason that everything is compressed is that if it's all uncompressed audio, if this was full frame rate uncompressed video and uncompressed audio, that's coming through at like gigabytes of data. So if they can reduce that down through compression, they will. So would it be great if there were uncompressed audio and video formats for everything all the time? Sure. Would my face look a little bit better? Maybe not. There's that joke in The Simpsons where they get HD on the Krusty the Clown show and they show it close up on his face, and it's like, it's terrifying. I don't want to see it in HD. So yeah, that's why I'm zoomed out here. I'm zoomed out for your protection. But yeah, it would be great to have a whole lot more uncompressed audio. But the other part of that is, again, that majority we talked about, that 98% that aren't the 2% of us, don't care. They're listening on their phone speakers. They're legitimately listening to music by putting their phone. Have you seen the kids walking around? I say the kids meaning derogatory, walking around with their phones like this. They don't even put them to their ears anymore. There's something weird about, like, you're not cool if you're talking into a phone. So they're talking to their phones like this and they're walking around doing their thing. All the audio is either gone Bluetooth, which is obviously highly compressed again, because it's got to compress it in the algorithm there, or they're just using the phone speakers. And there's no point in having uncompressed audio if you're then using a really crappy tiny speaker or a compressed audio format like Bluetooth anyway. So yeah, there's just a few things to consider. And what I did want to mention is I have a video over here, which is WAV versus MP3, compressed versus uncompressed. So if you're confused by things, and it is related to GarageBand, because if you're confused by things like sample rate, sampling rate, bit depth, compression, these are lossless, these are all different terms that get thrown around a lot, and they all mean slightly different things. So there's a video over there, 5 minutes, and you'll be a pro. You'll be an expert in everything you need to know. Alrighty. Right? Yeah, I know. Just get some headphones. Just plug something in. And then the people are like, but I don't have my dongle. I don't have my dongle adapter because Apple took away my headphone jack like 400 years ago. And now it'll never, ever come back. All right. Should we crack into the questions? What do you reckon? Yeah. Let's talk about questions. Let's talk about your GarageBand questions. If you do have questions, please just put the word question in front of them, like so. Just put the word question or a big Q in front of your question, and I'll endeavor to get to as many of these questions in the show as possible as well. Yeah, they're terrified that the battery is going to give them brain cancer, which is weird because then they plug the tiny little Bluetooth headphone into their ear, which has got a little magnet, a little receiver, much closer to their brain than just holding their phone up with like a tiny little speaker in there. Anyway, it's weird. It's like people that go to McDonald's and I'll have the Big Mac, please, and a Diet Coke. Okay, I guess you're trying to do something there. All right, let's get into some questions before I rant some more. So do like Mars and put a Q in front. Cheers, Pete. I feel like I heard once a song tempo type challenge for cover songs, or am I tripping? I feel like I heard once a song tempo type challenge for cover songs. Did we do that here? Are we talking here, Mars, or are we talking somewhere else? We did. So around this channel, we've done the 8-bar challenge that we do, which is we usually do that earlier in the year to get the creative juices flowing. And then we do Song Timber for your original songs. Look, people have produced cover songs in Song Timber. The Song Timber rules are that they kind of are no rules, so I've got no problems with that. But a cover song challenge, that's a pretty good idea. Maybe we do that. Maybe leading into Christmas, we do a cover song challenge. We've definitely done. They have done things like that, I think, over on like the Song Spark group. So maybe it's a different group that's doing cover song challenges. But yeah, look, I love covers. I know people talk down on covers and say, "Oh man, if you're doing cover songs, like that's so lame. It's not original." Nah, I'm actually complete disagreement of that. I think that learning and playing cover songs, I've said this before, I won't bore you with the details, so it's like, stop it, old man Johns, you've said this before, but it helps you learn how good song structure works. It helps with your own playing ability. It helps you learn chords. It helps you learn like different techniques and different chord progressions that you may want to incorporate into your songs. There's really no downside to doing it. If it's all you do, maybe, but even then, I don't see the downside. I see it as a positive and good thing. But yeah, maybe we do some cover song related. October cover songs. Pete's under the covers Christmas. Yeah, Christmas under the covers with Johns. Ooh, yeah, gross. Janu cover. Oh, it's all coming out now. I like it. Yeah, the best players learn covers. The Beatles. How many covers did the Beatles do? How many covers? Like, think of your favorite artist. Like, I was listening. I'm going down a Placebo rabbit hole at the moment, and I love me some Placebo. I used to listen to them a heap, and I haven't listened to them for ages. And now I'm going right through the back catalogue. They covered Running Up That Hill, which I'd forgotten that they did, but they did an epic version of Running Up That Hill like 10 years ago. And it's super, super cool. So yeah, your best bands are definitely going to have done covers. Covers are fun. Truth indeed. Hello, Brian, by the way. G'day to you, and hello to Grictus Lix, who was on YML yesterday, and I still can't pronounce. Yes, exactly. Yes, good suggestions there. So good thought provoker there, Mars. Maybe we need to start a whole new movement of Covertober. All right, what other questions have we got here? Mr. Barry Glenn. On GB, we find tracks keep shifting, especially when trimming. Part of one track shortened, and when we extended, is a short piece was missing. Does this happen to only us? Probably not. It probably doesn't happen to only you. This is one of my bugbears with GarageBand, is that there is no way to lock tracks. Now, you may be experiencing some sort of glitch here, Barry. It does happen. It is possible. But what I tend to have problems with, and where I have this problem, is multi-selecting things by mistake. So I'll tend to, so let's give an example here. So here I am in my project here. If I came in here and I was playing around with this, let's say I wanted to trim this handle here and I wanted to get that audio back in and bring it back in there. Like that. That's cool. So that when I'm playing this back here, I'll just turn my volume up here. Because my trim was actually to remove that bit out there, was to move it back to there. So let's just redo this. Don't forget, you can hold down on that one and hit the redo button, and it will redo things. So what I tend to find is sometimes, instead of just having that one highlighted and doing that, like so, we'll just undo, if you've got two different things highlighted, so sometimes by just tapping and holding, say you've got two things highlighted like that, look what happens here when I grab this and bring it back like that. And you won't even notice that this is happening. But what it can sometimes do, is it going to do it here? Yeah, look at that. See how it does that? It does the same action on two bits of audio. And this is the trap that I see happen more often than not when this happens. I do it to myself all the time. I'll be like, where is that giant chunk of guitar that's missing there? And it's because I've done something like this. I've had a couple of things selected like this. I've been in one of them. I've been at the start of one and just trying to adjust it. And then look what's happening at the same time. And if you're not paying attention, or if it's off the screen, you just won't notice that it's doing that. And it will do it. The same with shifting audio. So if you've got the same problem with the shifting audio, say you've got this one selected and then you don't realize it, and we'll just, we'll tap and hold. It's hard to do this over the top of my microphone. So see how we've got both of those selected? That one there and that one there. If we come down to this one, if we move this, look what happens to the audio up the top there. That moves as well. So it's a trap, because if you've got multi-things selected and you move one, it moves everything in line with it. And this is the number one problem that I have. So here's my big tip to work around this is whenever you're tapping on something, tap off, tap on. It's like the clap on, clap off, clapper. Yeah, it's like that. But tap off, highlight nothing, and then tap on just the item you're working on, because that way you'll know that you don't have multiple things selected. It's super simple, super easy to have multiple things selected. You're zoomed in here, you're only focused on the one, you're not realizing that there's multiple things selected, and then you start moving one around, and guess what? They all move, and it puts you out of whack. So yes, sometimes it can glitch out and it just moves things, and that's a pain in the ass. But more often than not, what I've found is that it's that I've moved something that's been connected to something else. And it does it with splits, it does it with moves, it does it with trims, it does it with everything. So that might not solve all your problems, Barry, but if you keep that in mind, tap off, tap on, and then, yeah, and you'll see it. Even if you tap there and you get that select all, that means nothing's selected. So if you tap in a blank space, don't tap select all, but now you know nothing's selected. You can select your one thing, you can do your trim, and then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about anything else. So hopefully that helps you a bit. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And the reason I say it's bad, you can't lock a track, because if you could, it would not move that. So if you could just say, right, my guitars are cool, let's just lock down this, this, and this. Then when you come and you're playing around with your vocals, it won't move your guitars around. So hopefully that helps you out and anyone else that's having that same challenge, moving things in GarageBand and things moving that you don't want to be moving. Oh dear. We've got Alexa. I won't say Alexa, because then I'll ruin people's day by saying, hey, someone. Because yeah, the kids do say that. Did I play fire only? Yeah, that's what we should do. Hey Alexa, play some fire. I'm sorry. I just broke everyone's thing. Don't listen on speakers, folks. Just put your headphones in. It's the safest way to go. Alrighty. Let's see if we've got any other questions coming on through. Don't forget, if you've got a question, put a big Chungus Q in front of it, or the word question, and you'll be good. There you go. Did not work. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Track locking in would be good, but yeah, if you got that multiple selection, can definitely be a cause of that. I know it is. It's pissy when you're editing and you're tapping and you've got multiple things selected. And again, it's usually unintentional, and you'll just move things about. Especially, you're on a screen. I know even the larger iPad screens, they are still a bit small. I've got a cord there. They are still a little bit small. All right, let's jump on over and grab our next question, and it comes from Princess LGG. What's the fastest way to correct piano notes in GarageBand, since there is no forced legato feature like Logic has? Now, I heard Thomas Christ talking about forced legato, and I don't know what that is, because legato is obviously, as opposed to staccato, which is, so it must be, is it that it connects the notes, so it'll actually bring the notes and connect them together? So if that's what it's about, yeah, you're going to be a little bit limited in terms of what you can do in GarageBand because it doesn't really have any features like that. So if we jump on over to our GarageBand, so let's go into, say, we had some organ on this track, don't we? Where's our organ at? There it is. So there's our organ. So we're playing some organ parts, and I'm assuming by forced legato it means that, so in sections like this, where it's doing this, if we edit here, it's actually connecting up these notes. So where that one ends, that one. So where there's gaps like that, you're saying that what you want it to be able to do is grab that note and just shimmy it there and put it to there. So the problem with this is that you can do that with the start of the notes. So quantization is going to help you do that with the start of notes. So if you've not played around with quantization before, it is up here in your track settings, and you can go to quantization. Now this will only affect the start of a note. It won't affect the length of the note, and this is probably why it's not going to work for you real well here. So if we come into this track, we'll go into the edit screen so you can see what it's doing while we play with it. Boom, 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 boom. Edit. Oh no, it doesn't. It takes it away. But yeah, if you look at some of these notes, you'll see here that some of them, like these ones, are not starting right on the spot there. They're not starting right on the beat. So what we can do is, say we wanted to make these all start on the 8th note, because we know that that's where we want it to be. We can either go into here, or the other way to do it is to do your quantization right in the bit here. So if we tap that one and we go to settings, we can actually quantize it in here. So we can go quantization. Let's make it an 8th note quantization. And then what happens if we go back in here and look at it? Boom, it will do it. So if you've got whole notes, or if you've got 8th notes and they're just not lining up, but that you know they're going the right length, that's the way to do it. Because you can see here now, they're all starting right on that grid point. So that's going to line them all up, but it doesn't affect the end. Now, other DAWs have an option where you can quantize the end of the note as well as quantizing the start of the note. Alas, here in GarageBand, we do not have that function. So I think the short answer is no. You would need to use another platform, and I know from what Thomas was saying the other day, FL Studio has this, and Logic Pro definitely has it as well. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. So yeah, unfortunately, if you're asking the fastest way, it's to go in here. The fastest way is actually to program them in the first place, because then you can actually determine the length of the notes as you do them. But if you're playing them in on a MIDI keyboard and they're not lining up and you want them to line up, wait, what am I in? I'm in the upright bass now, aren't I? Let's go back into the organ. Then yeah, there's literally, the only way to do this is to grab each note and manually line it up to the end and do that. The other thing I'd say is, in what example do you actually want to make sure that they're all legato, or maybe use a sustain instead? So when you're playing them in, use a sustain pedal, so it'll actually sustain between two notes. That's another option that you have there. But hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think, unless someone's got a better idea, which are always open. That's why we do these shows. That's why we put these shows out here live and have the replay available. If anyone else has got any idea, then you can check that out. All right, we'll see if we have, the forced legato is just an automatic feature that lengthens, yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's quantization basically, well, not even quantization, because it'll just force it to the start of the next note. But yeah, some DAWs have the ability to do that. And GarageBand, iOS or Mac doesn't have the function. You would need Logic Pro to do that as well. Let's see. GarageBand MIDI is worse than Cubase. GarageBand MIDI is worse than most things. Best is to go AUM, GarageBand, or Cubase as inter-app audio, something like Helium or Atom 2. Yeah, look, if you're getting... the thing is, it all depends on your complexity. Like, I agree with that. And if you're hitting these walls and it's something that you want, look, this is the perfect example of where you should be considering other options. So a lot of people say, I don't want to use GarageBand anymore. I want a more professional DAW. And the answer to that is usually it's not going to change your music unless you need one of the features that's not in GarageBand. So if someone that's just creating songs, or they're recording demos, or they're using acoustic instruments especially, GarageBand is going to record the same quality as Logic, the same quality as FL Studio. It's just analog to digital. It depends on what microphone you're using, what audio converters you're using, what audio interface you're using. It's really got very little to do with the actual software. Where the software matters is what we're talking about here. Does it have features that you need? Does it have specific plugins? Does it have specific ways of working that are actually going to impact your workflow? If you're finding your workflow is not successful in a particular platform, it's time to start considering other platforms. If you're not hitting that wall, it's probably not. I know that's oversimplification, but it's kind of what I've found. I've never really found anyone that said, "Oh, I was using GarageBand and things were fine, but I moved to Logic and instantly things were great." It's usually the opposite. It's usually when you go to a more complex platform before you've learnt the limitations of the platform you're working on, then you actually just get overwhelmed and your music actually suffers. So try not to do that if you can. If you can avoid it. Let's continue. So thank you for that question. Rena says, has anyone used iSymphonic? Also, is there a quick suction sound? Hello. That I keep hearing on the tracks. For King and Country does it quite a bit. Does anyone know what plugin has it? So couple of questions there, a couple of answers. I've used iSymphonic in the past. I find it a little clunky to use. The sounds are really good. It's really expensive. There's Swarm as well that has a lot of more symphonic instruments. I would go and check out Jade Starr's channel, How to App on iOS. She's covered all the Swarm instruments and all the iSymphonic instruments in significant detail and showed all the pros and cons and why you would want to select them. Again, they are expensive though. But if you do want that virtual instrument sound that is going to be the closest to string sounds, closest to brass sounds and woodwind sounds that you can get, then it's worth checking out. At least get that default pack. They're pretty savvy with their business model. They don't say group all the strings together. Every pack is like a couple of strings, a couple of wind, a couple of brass. So if you want the whole orchestra, you kind of have to buy every pack. And then you're in the hundreds of dollars worth of plugins. So it's worth considering. But yeah, if you're creating a lot of symphonic music, then it's worth considering getting it. It's also worth considering like GarageBand iOS or Logic Pro. GarageBand iOS with the pack that I can never remember the name of. The one that you can use to play live that has a whole bunch more instruments in it, or Logic Pro. They've got a lot of instruments if you're on a Mac. But if you're on iOS, iSymphonic and Swarm are both really good, but they're also really expensive and a little bit prohibitive in terms of getting into, I tend to find. Yeah, the physical modeling that you get with the Swarm are pretty darn cool indeed. You use the FL, use the Fruity Loops. Right. Shout out to the Fruity Loops. I like it. Yeah, Thomas Christ is doing his project in Fruity Loops at the moment, and it's going well. And look, FL Studio has a lot of cool features. Let's be honest about it. It's not. Let's see. I must admit, just like people pigeonhole GarageBand as, you know, just for demos or just for people, like, it's just a toy for people to play around with. That's how they talk, by the way. That's how Pro Tools users talk. Oh, using GarageBand, it's just a toy for people playing around. That's 100% true. I thought FL Studio was just for beat makers. I thought it was just when you wanted to make a fire beat, you went to FL Studio, because that's what I kept seeing everywhere. In all the dodgy groups that I frequent. Well, I don't actually specifically frequent dodgy groups, but I have a bit of fun at the moment. And I think I'm turning into a troll in my old age. I think it's starting to happen because I go to these groups and it's like people trying to do the stream team thing, which don't do, by the way. Highly, highly unrecommend. But there's people doing stream teams and they're just like, yo, drop fire only. And I cannot resist just putting a fire emoji and nothing else. I'm such a troll. But hey, if that's the most trolly thing I do, then that's okay. All right, let's grab some more. Yeah, that's right. Swarm is top of the line if you do want those. I will look at your Logic Pro's videos. Yeah, you can start. What I'll do, as soon as you start asking Logic Pro questions, why Logic Pro rules, and the other one is, oh my goodness, I've forgotten the name of his channel. There's 2 Logic channels that I recommend to folks, and they're in the links of all my Logic Pro videos anyway, because I've only got like 4 or 5 Logic Pro videos. I know my place, and I know that I ain't no Logic Pro Pro. In fact, the funniest one was a Logic Pro video I did about the spatial audio, the 3D audio, and a guy who probably talks like this, because Logic Pro users are a bit like Pro Tools users sometimes. Yeah, he schooled me. He told me all the reasons why people shouldn't listen to me, and I'm like, dude, I didn't say this is how you mix and how you do it. I said this is how you access it in the menu, because I couldn't even find that. I watched like 7 videos and everyone was going into these detailed things about Dolby Atmos and 7.1 channel sounds, and I'm like, where's the button to toggle it on? And I couldn't find that. So I made my own video about how to do that once I figured it out, and then yeah, I got schooled by people who knew much better, which is fine. I've got very thick skin these days. It's not a problem. Let's grab our next question. Hey BBS, when are Apple going to come out MacBook Pro for 2023? In 2023? Yeah, I don't know. My Apple crystal ball's in the shop. When it comes back, I'll rub it and see what it reveals. No, don't know. What I will say is that there's usually an October event from Apple, which is usually iPad related. Occasionally they sneak some Mac stuff in there, but I don't know that we're going to get any other new Macs for 2022. The Mac Pro is the only Mac they haven't M1ified, and they kind of did the Mac Studio instead. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see another Mac until 2023, and I don't know that we're going to see an M2 MacBook Pro until probably middle of next year. Don't forget that the 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros with the M1 Pro and M1 Ultra are less than a year ago. So they're still pretty new in the range. So, and again, a lot of folks are getting confused with the M2 being out now, that the M2 is better than the M1 Pro and the M1 Ultra and the M1 Max. It's not. So keep that in mind, that the M2 is a step up from the M1, but it is still below the M1 Pro Max and Ultra. So there'd be no point, like they won't bring out an M2 MacBook Pro, because apart from the dodgy one with the old keyboard and the touch bar that they still have, because it's not going to be better. It's not a step up. So keep that in mind. So I think we'll probably see new iPads next month, one or two new iPads, and then probably the Pro iPad, maybe. And then I don't think we'll see another hardware announcement until 2023. But the one thing you can guarantee with Apple is that you can't guarantee anything with Apple. So that's what I got to say about that. Let's grab our next question. It comes from, I'm going to call you GX. I'm going to nickname you GX because I'm sick of trying to say the name and getting it wrong. So GX says, what's a good microphone and which do you use? That is a good question. And I know folks are going to sing it along with me, folks. But I have a gear guide. So for the usual suspects, I know you're new to the channel, so I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the fact that the people are going to be like, oh, here he goes with the gear guide again. But yeah, because a lot of people starting out are like, what microphone do I use? What audio interface do I use? What MIDI keyboard do I use? I put together my gear guide. So over here at studiolivetoday.com/gear is my gear guide, and you can actually check it out. So my complete mobile setup here with my iPad Pro 2020, my iRig Pro Duo, my iRig Stream Pro that I use, Steinberg audio interface. So the microphone that I use in my mobile setup when I'm recording at the moment these days is the AKG D5, which is a dynamic handheld microphone. It's this one here. It's around about the $100 mark, but it's a good quality microphone, $115 at the moment, but it's a good quality microphone. It's very similar to the Shure SM58. I have to sneeze. Sorry, that was coming, and I couldn't stop it. It's very similar to the Shure SM58 and other handheld dynamic mics, but it's just a solid brick of a microphone that gives you good quality recordings. The other thing that we have down here that I use in my desktop setup more often is the Audio-Technica AT2020, which is a condenser microphone. $99 for this one, and this is basically your all-rounder. If you're recording in your vocals, if you're recording acoustic instruments, if you're recording electric guitars, acoustic guitars, this can kind of do it all. And in a perfect world, when you're starting out, you'd get one of each, but that's $200, so I understand that. There are more budget options that you can get. Stay away from the Amazon specials. And what I mean by the Amazon specials is if you come in here, if you go to Amazon, let's just go to Amazon here using my link up the top here. And these are affiliate links, by the way, meaning if you do make a purchase, they will break off a chunk and send it my way. So if you go to microphones here in Amazon, they're going to front load you with all this business. And these look cool. Look at all the stuff you get. Look at these bundles. Are these good quality? No. They're really not. I used to say, your mileage may vary, you do you. I've tried a few of these, and they're really not good. So Tonor is the brand. They're relabeled as a bunch of other brands here as well. Mayono, just no brand, Studio Condenser. See, here's the thing. If you're buying yourself a microphone and it's $23 for all that, that's not great. And here's the thing, you might look at that and go, look at that Amazon rating. You got to wonder how many of those Amazon ratings are legitimate, because a lot of people, a lot of products have people who they pay to rate their products so that they get a good Amazon rating, so they sell more of them. That's the unfortunate thing. So check out the other channels, check out other people and their opinions and feedback, but everything that I have on my gear guide is what I legitimately use and own right now, and what I'm using. So, and you might wondering, what's this microphone? This one I wouldn't recommend for someone, especially if you're starting out in home recording. It's the Audio-Technica AE3300. It's part of their Artist Elite series. It's a handheld condenser microphone, and these things retail for about $300 or $400. You probably don't need that. I use this because it has the convenience of being super low noise. It's also a condenser, and it's also like handheld, so I can move it around and it's not going to get in my face when I'm doing live streaming. So hopefully that gives you some ideas there. Yes, great tip here from Mars Capone. Podcastage. If you want a reliable source for information about microphones, go and check out Bandrew. Yes, his name is Bandrew, over at Podcastage. And if you have not checked out Podcastage before, here it is. So if you come in here and you basically want to check out, if you want to find any microphone. So when I was first looking at microphones, I went Podcastage AT2020. And he's done every microphone. He reviews it in detail. He compares them to other microphones as well. Oh, look, he's got a Behringer UM2. Jeez. I wonder what Bandrew has to say about that one. Even the USB version there. So, yeah, Podcastage is your one-stop shop for a lot of very cool reviews. And, yeah, he is a total gear nerd. He's a gear nerd, but he can actually, yeah, there's your link. He's a gear nerd, but he actually puts it in layman's terms. So he doesn't just go, oh, this one's got a frequency range. He does all that, like the frequency range and the SPLs and all the stuff I don't really understand. But he then goes, and here's what it sounds like on voice. Here's what it sounds like on guitar. And here's what it sounds like when I go to the side of it. Here's what it sounds like when I go behind it. Like, he does all of those sort of tests, and he has this consistent testing regime that he's done on every microphone. So yeah, if you go there, you can trust his opinions. And I don't say that about many reviewers, because unfortunately, a lot of reviewers are focused more on how many affiliate sales they make and not how many people they help make great music. So go there. Yeah, there you go. You can see that all the usual suspects around this channel are recommending Podcastage. Let's grab a few more. Hairbrush microphone. Any interest in miking up an amplifier and recording guitar that way? Or are you someone who would prefer to play direct in? This is a really good question. And I've done videos on this in the past about recording a real amp. In fact, if you, and I say real amp, if you go Pete Johns real amp here in the YouTube search engine, you'll see that there is a video just there of how I actually showed how, yeah, in GarageBand, you can actually record a real amp. And look, it's basically as simple as getting a microphone, positioning it in front of your amp in the right spot, finding the right tone that you want, and then recording it. Like, when I did this demo, it took me, to find a good guitar tone, probably took me about half an hour. Whereas when I plug in my guitar and use direct and then use an amp sim, I can get a good tone in about half a minute. So I guess that's the difference these days, that unless you're an absolute purist or you've got an amazing valve amplifier that you really want to capture that analog warmth and that tone, I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's dead using real amps. There's some people that love it, but it is a lot harder. And for those in the home studio, the effort of having an amp, like for me, just the effort of walking into that cupboard, which is literally 4 steps over there, but going in there, pulling my amp out, dusting it off, because let's be honest, I don't use it much, plugging it in, getting a cable, then getting a microphone and a microphone cable, then plugging that in, then setting my levels, then positioning the microphone next to the speaker to the point where it's picking up the most ideal sound, and then playing in my part, then realizing that the microphone slipped a couple of centimeters and I have to readjust it, and then playing in my part. It's a lot. And look, if you want specifically that tone, I have absolute respect for you. I have no problems at all with folks that want to use a real amplifier. But for me, for the speed of getting things done and for the convenience and, let's be honest, the quality, because the amplifier that you see there, that ain't no valve. That's a transistor amplifier anyway. So you could argue that amplifier is not going to be that much better than pretty much any amp model. In fact, I can get a much nicer, warmer, fake analog tone from a guitar sim than I could ever get from my own amplifier. So it's a great question, and it's something worth thinking about and considering. But yeah, and that's the other thing. Real amps are also very loud. if you've got like a low wattage amp that you can really crank up, like if you want to get a nice crunchy tone, you have to turn your amp up real loud. And then if you've got a condenser microphone, you kind of have to back that thing off and put your volume way down low. Like sometimes the condenser mic's just picking up too much sound pressure for that. You need either an SM57 that you can turn way down, or you need to like move your microphone away, and then you're getting room noise. And then, yeah, it goes down a rabbit hole of difficulty. And as Mars points out here, neighbors is the other problem. Neighbors is the other problems. And yeah, amp sims are so good these days. 100%. Don't worry, there's nearly 3,000 videos here on the channel, so don't ever apologize for missing a video. But if you're ever sitting there going, I wonder if John's has, he probably has. And if you put my name and the thing you're searching for into the YouTubes, you'll probably find it. Omni Collective says amp sims are also good for blind people because they will not lose their hearing, because that's bad. Yes, exactly. I know. As someone who listened to a lot of music and played a lot of music through amplifiers in my teens, I'm pretty sure the little ringing I get in my ears every now and then, and the fact that I can't hear, higher frequencies, it's probably being contributed to by that. As is my voice from yelling over the top of loud things or yelling into microphones over loud amplifiers. So look after yourself, folks. You will also be old someday. I'm sorry. Just reality. All right, thank you for your question there. Question here from Betty. Do I need an audio interface to record on iPhone with GarageBand? Great question. I'm going to grab a drink and then return to answer that. Sorry, I didn't have my water bottle handy and I wasn't sure how I was going to get over to anyway, let's have it so that I can get my dulcet tones back. Do you need an audio interface? No. Short answer is no. Long answer is yes eventually. So the short answer is no, because you will be quite surprised at how good the quality is recording in using either a pair of earbuds or even the built-in microphone. The microphones in this, look, Apple call them studio quality in your iPhones and your iPads. They're not studio quality in what we would consider. They probably are. If you're a regular person that thinks of a telephone as like the old analog pots, the plain old television service sound, yeah, you probably go, oh yeah, it's way better than that. It is. But it is not like it's not like this. If I was recording through this phone right now instead of through this microphone going in through my Zoom Live Track mixer, then no, it would be night and day. But does that mean you can't use this to record? No, of course you can. So the microphones in this are definitely good enough to record. A couple of quick tips. One thing is to remove the case if you're using the microphone, because some cases will deaden the sound. They'll cover up the little holes there, which are your microphones. So remove your case carefully and then record into it. And this is where just watch a teenager walking around talking on their phone. They know where the speaker is. They know that the bet's going to pick them up best like that. So I wouldn't suggest holding it. I'd pop it on a pillow so that you're not going to get any handling noise, and then sing directly into that. Your other option is to use a pair of... do I have them in my pocket? I usually do. I do. It's to use a pair of Dirty Buds. Use a pair of not Bluetooth, but I have these that I got with one of my first ever iPhones, and I found them the other day and they were in pristine condition, so I ripped them out and I'm using them again now. So just your regular white earbuds. Here's the thing though, ones that have a microphone on them are going to record through that microphone. If they don't have a microphone on them, they're going to record through the built-in mic. So if you are trying to monitor your built-in mic, make sure that you don't have headphones that have a microphone. Otherwise, this microphone will override this microphone. And it's actually getting harder and harder to get earbuds that don't have a microphone built into them. You can get them on eBay, or you can just use over-the-ear headphones like this, then plug them in, and you'll be using your internal microphone. But even this little microphone, like the little pinhole that you can't even see on there, is actually reasonably good. Like, these things actually surprise me. I've recorded backing vocals using just this plenty of times. That all being said, that's the good news, is that you can definitely do that. Eventually, you'll hit a wall, Rena, where you'll want, Betty, where you'll want to have yourself an audio interface. Or the other option is a USB microphone. So if you're not likely to if you say you're doing vocals, you're not likely to plug in guitars or keyboards or other external sound sources, and you just want to record your own voice, don't forget that there's also USB microphones. Now, these are going to be a lot cheaper for you than using an audio interface. So if we come back in here, Scroll on down because I've got separate microphone sections here for XLR microphones. They're what you plug into an audio interface, but also USB mics. The one that I use and recommend for starting out is this little sucker here. It is adorable. It is $50 at the moment, which is a killer price for this thing. And this has a built-in audio interface. So for $50, you get a condenser microphone with its own built-in audio interface. And the other cool thing is that it actually has its own headphone jack. See that? On the back there, it's got a headphone jack. Yeah, it's got an old school USB micro plug there, but you plug your headphones into the back of it, you sing or you do your voice recordings into the front of it, you've got your volume control there, you've got a mute button there as well. It is a ridiculously good value for money microphone. So $50 US and you're away. So this is why, a lot of people say, oh, it's too expensive to get into this stuff. It is, because the other option is you'd want to buy like an audio interface. So if you went in here and you're like, what's the cheapest audio interface that I could buy? It's probably going to be the Behringer UM2. Let's see what pops up here when we go audio interface. It's got all the new ones, all the new fancy ones. But the Focusrite Scarlett is what a lot of people get, the Steinberg UR22C. And yeah, you're going to end up starting to spend, $150, $200, or at least $100 if you want. If you want budget, I wouldn't go PreSonus on the audio interface. I wouldn't go Behringer. But if you go the PreSonus 2-channel, what is it called? The audio bus or something? It is this one here, the audio box. Yeah, so at least something like this, you're going to be spending about $100 on that. And then if you're getting a microphone, you're probably spending another at least $50 to $100 on that. So that's why USB microphones are a great option. And if you're starting out, you get everything in one, because all a USB microphone is the same microphone capsule that you get on a regular microphone, but it's also got the electronics in there to do the analog to digital converting and then send that via USB into your iPhone or your iPad. Now, if you're using a iPhone that has Lightning, you'll also need the Lightning to USB adapter. So that's the other cost that you're going to have with that. And I recommend the genuine Apple one, because the knockoff ones just don't work. So that's going to hit you another $30 odd. But once you have that once, you'll be able to plug in any USB device you want at all to your iPhone, and you'll be absolutely golden. You'll be good to go with that one. So hopefully that helps you out there, Betty, and anyone else looking to get involved. Hopefully it helps you out too. Are there any USB mics that are 24-bit? Yeah, great question here from Thomas Christ. There are 24-bit USB microphones. A lot of the entry-level ones, so the sub-$100 ones are 16-bit audio. So if audio quality, and again, we didn't sort of cover it in detail, but if audio quality is something that you are really passionate about, then yeah, you may want to get a 24-bit microphone. Things like the Blue Yeti, the newer Blue Yeti, where is it? Blue Yeti Nano, I believe, is 24-bit. Let's have a look over here. And you won't often know unless they tell you. If they don't say anything, they're 16-bit. But here, I reckon Blue Yeti have down here. So they have this here that tells you whether they're 24-bit. So this one is, the Blue Yeti Nano for $80 is a 24-bit microphone. So if you want to spend a little bit more, you can get yourself 24-bit sound. The Snowball, their older one, is only 16-bit that you have there. The AKGR, what is that one called? ARA. That one is also 24-bit. What's that? Behringer is only 16-bit. That's the neat mic. So yeah, go in there and check it. They've usually got these sort of things. But basically, your $50 and your sub $50 ones are usually 16-bit still. A lot of and actually that's a really good price. That Yeti Nano, that thing's a bit of a beast. So maybe I need to pick up one of those and compare it to the Samson, because if it's 24-bit sound and it's made by Blue, who make good quality microphones, maybe that might be my new recommendation. So that's a good option. But yeah, a good point there from Thomas. You may want to check the bit rate, the bit depth compatible with your microphone, because 24-bit is definitely better in 2022 than 16-bit. You're going to get more range, so more dynamic range from your microphone, and generally a lower noise floor because you're getting more of the audio being sampled in there. So do keep that one in mind. Yeah, and it looks nice too. Doesn't quite look like a little thing. I know, yeah, it's only been about the last 5 years that the newer models, like the Blue Nano and others, have started going 24-bit. For the longest time, you're right, so many of the USB mics were 16-bit. It was kind of frustrating. Rita says on my iPad Pro, just bought the USB-C to HDMI charge adapter to plug in my USB mic directly. Your recommendation to only plug in your mic by itself and not a hub. Yeah. Exactly, and you can do that. So you can, if you're using the adapter that has the charge as well, you can do everything. So for instance, I'm using the genuine Apple one, or you can basically use any USB-C adapter. But I've got one that has USB, and it has the USB-C power pass-through, and it has HDMI. So then you don't even need a hub for that. You can plug your microphone in, you can plug out to HDMI, and because you're powering up your iPad through that adapter as well, if it's got power pass-through, then you're good to go. You're golden. All right, we've got about 5 minutes left. If there's any final questions, do chuck them in the chat. Welcome to dongle hell, says Mascapone. I know it's better. USB-C makes it better. Others not so much. The Lightning's still a bit of a challenge. Question for the Mix Club: can you set recording sample rate? I know I need to get an iPad. I will someday. Yeah, so you can. So GarageBand has the default sample rate in iOS of 44.1 kilohertz and cannot be changed, but you can alter between 16-bit and 24-bit. So do make sure that you actually adjust that to 24-bit. In fact, let's. I haven't showed this in a while, and if you are new to GarageBand iOS, one of the first things that you should do is actually go and change from 16-bit to 24-bit audio resolution, because it will help. Even if you're not using a 24-bit audio interface, it will help you with the quality of the output, the files that you're actually saving out. So even if you're using loops and samples and things, you want to be able to export those at their original 24-bit sound. You don't want them down-sampled to 16-bit. So here in GarageBand iOS, go to your cogs, your little settings in the top right corner, go to Advanced, and then make sure that this is selected, 24-bit audio resolution. That will just increase the resolution of your audio, so it'll increase the ability to sample more frequencies, and it will improve the quality of your overall sound. Even if you're not using it, you might as well have it on now, so you don't forget to put it on in the future. So everyone, go and do that right now. Go and check. Grab your iPhone or your iPad, go to GarageBand, tap Settings, tap Advanced, and go to 24-bit audio resolution. Just turn it on. And look, if you haven't had it on forever, don't freak out. It's going to be fine. The iPad itself does actually support 48 kilohertz sound. I don't know if it does 96. Definitely does 48. And things like, actually, I think it does do 96. Apps like Cubasis and Audio Pro and other audio apps do have the ability to swap over to a different sampling rate that's not just 44.1. Can you screen record 24-bit audio? I believe so. I would have to double check. I'd have done screen recording is now audio. Of course, screen recording audio is now audio. Screen recording is now stereo. And I'm pretty sure it preserves the 24-bit bit rate when you record it. But I haven't done it in a really long time, and we're out of time today to check it. Maybe it's something I can check through the week, or if someone checks it, put a note down in the comments and let us know if you do check it out. But I think it is. You know what? I'm going to try it real quick. I'm going to see. I'm going to just grab my thing here, and I'm going to do a screen recording. I can't show you this while I'm doing it because the screen mirror, the way the HDMI output works, is it'll totally mess up if I do this. But I'm just going to do this, and in the background, I'm going to record a little bit of my GarageBand project. I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to stop the screen recording. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to my photos where it's storing that, and I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to send this. I'm going to export this. I'm going to save this out to my files so that we can inspect the file and see what the audio bitrate is at. It probably compresses it, I would say. I think we're going to be disappointed here. Sorry, I know you can only see my mug because I can't. Actually, I can show you it now. I can bring it up now while we're doing this. So there's my iPad. Nope, I still can't. It's still not showing anything because I'm in a different screen. So we'll just save this to files and then we'll be able to see it. I'm just going to save this into my downloads folder here. Boom, boom, boom. All right, I've done that. And then we'll go to my files. Now you should be able to see it again, I'm hoping. Or have I messed it up? No, here we are. Okay, so let's go to download. Let's not do that. Let's go to downloads, which is here, and we'll search this by date and find that file. So there it is. So if we tap and hold on this one and go to get info, let's see what this has created. So it's an MPEG-4 video. It is codec AVC1. It doesn't have the specific details of the audio there. So we'd have to extract it. Yeah, I'll have to do that. I'll have to extract the audio and then see what it's actually saving, because iOS won't actually tell me what the audio bitrate is of that. I'll have to extract it and throw it into audio share, which will tell me whether it's 16 or 24. But yeah, the bottom line is it does sound good. One final question here before we finish up is from Young, Rich, Famous, all that thing. Can you post your songs with royalty-free loops on Sound Exchange and TuneCore Publishing Administration? I know we aren't allowed to do Content ID. So yeah, if you are using, it's a good question, and there's probably a longer, more complex answer that we could get into more detail with. And I have covered this. If you search my name, Pete Johns Copyright, there's a heap in there about sampling, about loops, about royalty-free stuff. Short version is this. If they are royalty free, and if they are, if you're downloading them and able to be used, if they're Creative Commons licensed, or they're royalty free, or they're GarageBand samples, or they're whatever they are from, yes, technically you can use them, but you can't use them on their own. So you can't re-release just, say, one loop from GarageBand. You need to use multiple together. And you generally can't apply Content ID, because if there's a part of your song that's just playing one royalty-free loop, what it's going to do, it's going to apply Content ID to that one royalty-free loop, and then if anyone else uses that royalty-free loop, it'll get claimed to you. It'll say, you're using this person's song, and that's not cool. Like, they don't like it when that happens, because it means that someone just innocently using GarageBand is using a GarageBand loop. So it's why when you go through DistroKid to distribute music, it's why when you go onto YouTube, they're a little bit finicky about this sort of stuff. But the bottom line is, if you change it enough that it doesn't actually resemble that original loop or sample, and you integrate it by combining it with other sounds within your projects, then you're actually going to be fine anyway, because it's not going to pick up that. And yeah, I don't recommend adding Content ID to anything ever, because I don't really think it does a lot. I don't think so. I don't think it actually helps you. You end up paying more than you're ever going to get. Unless someone uses your song in a video that gets, unless Mr. Beast uses your song and he gets 10 million views on a video, you're really not going to see a lot of benefit from it. You might get $1 or $2 from a song if it's used in a semi-popular video, and it just, to me, doesn't seem like it's worth it. Let's see if we got any final questions. Question from Pickle: Who personally directs GarageBand? Do they give updates on what they're developing for the next updates? The video game devs do. The answer to that one is that Apple keep their cards close to their chest. That's a nice way of saying that they don't share any information about pretty much anything until it's released. Then, yeah, they'll chat about it a bit. I've met with Apple a couple of times. Look, they are lovely people. They're wonderful people. They're super creative. They're super nice. They're super sharing of things unless they haven't been released. And then it's just complete tight-lipped, sealed off. So is it the best way to develop things? I don't know. I know what you're saying. A lot of developers that do things in the sort of open source community, or even where they have alpha and beta testers outside of the company, they do things like that. Other developers have that sort of relationship with creators like myself. Apple don't. So yeah, I provide feedback, and plenty of people provide feedback, but there's not that direct creator-developer relationship that happens there as such. And that's more of an Apple thing than a GarageBand thing. So just to be completely transparent when it comes to that sort of thing. Question: how are the Rangers looking for this season, Pete? The Rangers are going to be on fire this season, my friend. I'm super stoked for hockey season. I think, did football season just kick off in North America, in the US? Well, I'm assuming in Canada as well, but there's only US teams in the NFL. But yeah, I'm super stoked for hockey season this year. The Rangers went a lot further last season than anyone expected. They got a lot of young talent. Lafreniere starting to hit his strides. We've got Kakko, who's starting to do really good things. And Shesterkin in net. Like, if even just those three catch fire, man, it's going to be a good season. But a bit like Apple, you never quite know what's going to happen in the NHL, because one injury or one sort of dark horse or one trade, and everything changes, doesn't it? Just ask our mate Wayne Gretzky. All right, I was going to have, there you go, football has begun. Steelers won yesterday. There you go. Go Pittsburgh. I don't have an NFL team, so I support everyone. I hope everyone's team wins all the time, because that's how sports work. That's going to do it for this one. I was going to do a rant today, and I'm going to do a really quick version of this. The scammers are back out in force. So you know how I said at the start, don't update to iOS 16 yet, because it doesn't have any security updates. So definitely don't do that. The other thing I want you to do is to basically take everything with a grain, a shaker, or like a huge lake of salt at the moment, because we've seen the return of the comment spammers. So you've noticed that if you're watching a live stream, our wonderful moderators here quite often have to do that thing where they quieten people and they kick people out and they boot people because the prawn bots come in and they start spam, 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 spam. That's starting in the comments again. And it's about cryptocurrency and it's about NFTs and it's about all of that sort of semi-legal stuff. Sorry, I'm offending people by saying it's semi-legal. It's unregulated, let's put it that way. So if you see things like that, and there's the funniest stream that just happened. Can I show you this? I think, do I have it? I have it on my phone. I don't have it here to show, but I think I should, just as a public service announcement, because this is not brand new. This used to happen. YouTube cracked down on it. They kind of squashed it, and it's just started coming back again. So I'm just going to send these files here to my Mac from my phone, because I was doing my usual comment stuff yesterday, going through all my comments, and this returned. So what this basically does is someone will put a comment, and then the bot will then comment on it as another YouTube account. And then another YouTube account will go and comment on that. And then another YouTube account, and they'll all like the original comment. So I was quite suspicious, obviously, because I saw, hang on, why does a comment on my Your Music Live show from an hour ago already have 15 likes? That's uncommon. And 15 additional comments on it. That's also super uncommon. So this is what we're battling against, folks. Let's bring it up over here, and I'll put it on my screen because it's actually super amusing. So I'll read a little bit for you here because I know it's a bit small. Can we embiggen that? Can we zoom in on that one? Where's my zoom button? There it is. All right. So, despite the we'll widen it. Despite the economic downturn, I'm so happy. I've been earning $60,200 returns from my $7,000 investment every 13 days. What odd numbers. And 11 likes and 15 comments on that one. This must be an investment with Patience Jeremiah. Wow, I'm just shocked you mentioned expert the Patience Jeremiah. Thought I'm the only one trading with them. They helped me recover what I lost trying to trade myself. What were you trading yourself for? Mrs. Patience is the right person to start trading cryptocurrency with. They know the way around the crypto world. They've been helping me increase my investment every day for over months. I'm sorry, I find this stuff super, super funny. We're gonna continue. She is 24 hours available on Telegram. By the way, Telegram is an encrypted messaging platform, if you're not familiar with that. Patience FX Jeremiah. Mrs. Layla, thanks a lot. I have contacted her now and she has responded. I see this as an opportunity to escape my financial situation. So you have to yell. What is that? I'm from Los Angeles. I and two of my friends tried her immediately. We testified her performing wonders. I countlessly share my experience with co-workers at work. As opposed to co-workers walking down the street, on how I made $23,000 from $2,000 in 7 days of trading. And it goes on like this. I won't bore you with the details, but I find it super duper amusing. So, yeah, you'll find these are happening in a lot of YouTube channels. It's not just me. I'm not special. So please, I know 98% of you know to don't feed the trolls and don't click the monkey, but please, they're finding weird and new and inventive and creative ways to try and infiltrate on things. So if you see a comment that doesn't look right on a YouTube channel, it's not in line with the brand and what usually goes on, please ignore it. And don't worry, I'll be in there deleting it and reporting it. It took a long time. There were 15 comments. I had to go in there and individually report because each one's from a different account. Like Da Family and Andrew. Andrew, I thought better of Andrew. Look at Andrew. Andrew does not look like the sort of guy that's going to be trading cryptocurrency, don't you reckon? Look at Andrew here. Look at that. That's Andrew. Andrew, what are you doing to us? Anyway, I thought better of Andrew. Yeah, don't click the monkey. So please just stay away. I hate to say it, but I've educated my kids and my parents and everyone with just assume everything's a lie until you validate it's true. Unfortunately, you can't go the other way. If you assume things are true and then try to work out if they're a lie, you're probably wasting a lot more time. Just assume that anything you get that's unexpected is 100% false and then work to validate it. And you'll very quickly be able to validate that most stuff is going to be BS. Alrighty. Yes, it is. Look, it's sad, but it happens. So what can you do? All I can do is my public service. My PSA is just to tell you folks that it's out there and to battle against it and try and do your best and tell your friends. I know, because it's probably not you. It's probably not this audience. You folks are generally nerds like me, so it's probably not this audience specifically that is going to fall for this stuff or is going to click the monkey. But if there's people in your life that you think potentially may accidentally click those monkeys, then please try and let them know and help protect everyone, because there's nothing worse than scammers. Scammers are the worst kind of people because they basically are annoying us. They're getting in your face, and I hate drama to begin with, but I definitely hate people who scam others and do bad things. All right, we are overtime, and you know who's live right now? Well, it's our man, Rock and Ronnie Ward. Look at him go. I love it. I love, when I'm watching Rock and Ronnie Ward, I love looking at the reflection in his glasses, because you can see it. You go into like a Matrix thing, don't you? Into a thing where you see the thing behind the thing. What's that that movie? Where you go inside the dream, inside a dream, inside a dream. So you can see his background reflected in his glasses and him talking to his own face. It's so cool. I love you, Ron. So Rock and Ronnie Ward is happening right now. I'm going to throw a link for you right here in the chat. You can go over and check out Ron and see what he's doing over there at Homegrown Indie Live. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And if you've got any other questions, yes, Bobby, I agree. Zero drama allowed. If you've got any other questions that we didn't cover in this one, you're watching on the replay, drop them in the comments. But please don't tell me how good Mrs. Cryptocurrency or whatever her name was, Mrs. Da Family, I can't remember now. Anyway, don't leave any spammy comments. But if you do have questions, do jump down to the comments and ask those questions there. And until next time, what do we say at the end of each show? We say this: please be kind to yourself. Please be kind to others. Keep creating. And patrons, I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to crack on and get this demo done in Songtemper. All right, folks, I'll see you next time here on GarageBand Weekly. Bye.